Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sheila May Idilion from Group 6, and I am with Wendell Abarquez, Brian J. Election, and Clarice Bayabos. And this afternoon, we are going to report about climate change, the causes and effects of climate change, and how can community help in mitigating the effects of climate change. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, climate change includes both the global warming driven by human emissions of greenhouse gases and the resulting large scale shifts in weather patterns. So, climate change is the global phenomenon of climate transformation characterized by the changes in the usual climate of the planet regarding temperature, precipitation, and wind that are especially caused by human activities. As a result of unbalancing the weather of Earth, the sustainability of the planet's ecosystems is under threat, as well as the future of humankind and the stability of global economy. So let's move on to the causes of climate change. So there are 8 causes of climate change. So first is the strength of the sun. Almost all of the energy that affects the climate on Earth originates from the sun. Why? The sun is the source of most of the energy that drives the biological and physical processes in the world around us. In oceans and on land, it fuels plant growth that forms the base of the food chain, and in the atmosphere, it warms air, which drives our weather. So that is why the sun's energy passes through space until it hits the Earth's atmosphere. Not all of this energy passes through the Earth's surface. The rest of the energy is reflected back into space or absorbed by the atmosphere. The energy output of the sun is not constant. It varies over time, and this has an impact on our climate. Only some of the solar energy intercepted at the top of the atmosphere passes through to the Earth's surface. So that is the first cause of climate change. The second one is changes in the Earth's orbit. The 3 changes in the Earth's orbit around the sun are the eccentricity, axial tilt, and precession, are collectively called the Milankovitch cycles. According to Milankovitch theory, these 3 cycles combine to affect the amount of solar heat that reaches the Earth's surface and subsequently influences climatic patterns, including periods of glaciation or ice ages.
Now I'm going to report about quantity of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. When we say greenhouse gases, it includes carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor. When we say water vapor, it is the most abundant greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, but it stays in the atmosphere for a much shorter period of time, just a few days. Methane, in the other hand, stays in the atmosphere for about 9 years until it is removed by oxidation into CO2 and water. Meanwhile, carbon dioxide stays in the atmosphere much longer, from years to centuries, contributing to longer periods of warming. These gases trap solar radiation in the Earth's atmosphere, making the climate warmer. Example of this is ocean currents and carbon dioxide content. In changes in ocean currents, it carry heat around the Earth. As the ocean absorbs more heat from the atmosphere, sea surface temperature increases and the ocean circulation pattern that transport warm and cold water around the globe change. The direction of these currents can shift so that the different areas become warmer or cooler. As oceans store a large amount of heat, even small changes in ocean currents can have a large effect on global climate. In particular, increases in sea surface temperature can increase the amount of atmospheric water vapor over the oceans, increasing the quantity of greenhouse gas. If the oceans are warmer, they can't absorb as much carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Let's move on to carbon dioxide content of the oceans. The oceans contain more CO2 in total than the atmosphere, and exchanges in CO2 occur between the oceans and the atmosphere. CO2 absorbed in ocean water does not trap heat as it does in the atmosphere. The world's ocean absorb about a quarter of the CO2 we release into the atmosphere every year. As atmospheric CO2 levels increase, so do the ocean CO2 levels.
Tectonics and volcanic eruptions over very long periods. Plate tectonic processes cause continents to move to different positions on the Earth. For example, Britain was near to the equator during the Carboniferous period, around 300 million years ago, and the climate was warmer than it is today. The movement of the plates also causes volcanoes and mountains to form, and these too can contribute to a change in climate. Large mountain chains can influence the circulation of air around the globe and consequently influence the climate. For example, warm air may be deflected to cooler regions by mountains. Changes in land cover. On a global scale, patterns of vegetation and climate are closely correlated. Vegetation absorbs carbon dioxide or CO2, and this can buffer some of the effects of global warming. On the other hand, desertification amplifies global warming through the release of carbon dioxide linked with the decrease in vegetation cover. This decrease in vegetation cover via deforestation, for example, tends to increase local albedo, leading to surface cooling. Albedo refers to how much light a surface reflects rather than absorbs. Meteorite impacts. Nowadays, most of what is on the Earth stays on the Earth. Very little material is added by meteorites and cosmic dust. However, meteorite impacts have contributed to climate change in the geological past.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Wendell
A good
Abarquez, and
example is the Chicxulub crater,
Good
Yucatan
afternoon,
Peninsula
everyone. I
in
am
Mexico.
Wendell Abarquez, and I.
Large impacts such as Chicxulub
Good
can
afternoon,
cause a
everyone. I
range of
am
effects
Wendell
that
Abarquez, and I.
include dust and aerosols being ejected
Good
high into
afternoon,
the
everyone. I
atmosphere
am Wendell
that
Abarquez,
prevent
and I.
sunlight from reaching the Earth. These
Good afternoon,
materials
everyone. I
insulate
am
the Earth
Wendell
from
Abarquez, and
solar
I.
radiation and cause global temperatures to
Good
fall.
afternoon, everyone. I am
The
Wendell
effects can
Abarquez,
last
and
for
I.
a few years.
I will be reporting to you the effects of climate change. So, as what you have read here, effects of climate change includes the more frequent and intense drought, storms, heat waves, rising sea levels, melting glaciers, and warming of oceans that can directly harm animals, destroy the places that they live, and wreak havoc on people's livelihoods and communities. So, as climate change worsens, dangerous weather events are becoming more frequent or severe. The impacts of climate change include warming temperatures, changes in precipitation, increases in the frequency or intensity of some extreme weather events, and rising sea levels. These impacts threaten our health by affecting the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, and the weather we experience. So climate change is affecting not also the environment itself, but also us humans, the food, from the food, our source of living, and the water that we drink. So here are some of the tips that we can do to prevent or mitigate climate change. So number one, use energy wisely and save money too. Then get charged up with renewable. So use for those recyclables only. Eat for a climate stable planet. Number four, start a climate conversation. Try to search what can we do as humans to prevent climate change. Then green your commute. Try to clean. Then plant more trees, which is one of the best solution to cure our Mother Earth and to prevent climate change. Then number six, consume less, waste less, enjoy life more. Think what you need only and use it to prevent more waste. Then invest in renewables and divest from fossil fuels. Then support or join youth led movements. So try to encourage yourself to be included or to join youth organizations that have the purpose of preventing climate change and helping our Mother Earth to cure itself. Then number nine, get politically active and vote. So vote for those officials who knows what our environment is experiencing right now. So thank you for listening and God bless.